moved across the room as far as that table in the back. So I'm sitting there and I'm preparing myself. I said, man, something's happening in this room. And I sense something evil, men and women. I sense something evil was taking place in that room. And so I'm sitting there, so I bow my head and I begin to pray. I said, Lord, I don't know why I'm here. I didn't know I was getting into this, but, protect my words. Give me what I need to say at this moment. And when I looked up, I looked across the room, and the guy who had just called me a wall builder was standing there looking at me like this, looking over the top of his eyebrow. I said, there's something evil in this room. The NAACP was there, La Raza was there, the Muslims were there, the Native Americans were there, and all kinds of special groups were there. And I knew why they were there. But there was another group that was there who was inciting this group, who were moving around the room, and they were the community organizers. They were the socialists and the Bolsheviks in the room, who were there on an ideological adventure to change America. And what I noticed before I got up to testify was that they were there with one voice. They were against everything that we stand for, and they were there with one voice. What I come to realize is that the opposition is organized, and they're on a mission. We who are on the right, we're just waking up. We're just becoming aware of the fact that there is this authentic, genuine threat that is facing our nation, and we have not been paying attention. It is time for us to get involved and to pay attention. The second event that I went to was in Washington, D.C., when Michelle Bachmann had invited everybody in 1 week to come and to resist the health care plan. How many of you remember that? I went there, and Congressman Mike Burgess had invited me to come, and he said, Pastor Broden, if you come, he says, I'll give up my space and let you speak on the platform. So I said, oh, yeah? So I flew into Washington, D.C., went right to his office and said, hi, Mike, I'm here. He said, oh, Pastor Broden, you're a long ways from home. I said, you said you're going to give up your spot. He said, well, he said, I'll tell you what, I'll try to get you on. And so he got me on, and he got me on to do the benediction. Of course, he's a pastor, and he can do the benediction. And so I'm standing on the stage waiting to do the benediction, and all of these Republican representatives had come down to speak about the draconian bill called the health care plan. And when they come down, they're all speaking about this is fiscal insanity. This is fiscally irresponsible. There's more money ever than we're going to tax, and go on and on about taxing and taxing. And all of the speakers, every one of the Republican congressmen that came to the microphone spoke only about how this was tax irresponsibility, how irresponsible this thing was. And they were right about that. They were right about that. However, that plan, that health care plan, had some social issues in it that they needed to address and position themselves as leaders in our nation. That, friends, was their moment, and they fumbled the ball. And so I'm standing there waiting. I said, when is somebody going to say that death panels is inside this health care? When is somebody going to say that rationing based upon economic viability is in this health care? I'm standing there waiting for the leadership to address these issues, that abortion is in this health care. The public option is in this health care. So I'm sitting there and I'm getting mad now. I said, these are our leaders? He said, and thank you for coming, and now we'll have Pastor Broden who will come and give the benediction. And this is all on the internet. You can go find it. You just Google my name on YouTube and you can find it. Pastor Broden's prayer at Michelle Bachmann's thing. I said, before I pray, I said, I want to let you know that inside this healthcare is end-of-life counseling and death panels. And we believe that's against the laws of nature and of nature's God. Inside this death care And that's what I was calling it all the way through. Inside this death care is rationing based upon economic viability. They'll take a 25-year-old and a 75-year-old, and they'll look at their economic viability and determine which one of these will we give health care to. And they'll tell my grandfather, to the back of the line you go, granddaddy, we'll give it to the 25-year-old. Inside this death care, and I ended it, and I went on. I won't go through the whole thing. You'll see it on the YouTube when you go look at it. I ended my statement before I prayed with this. I said, inside this death care is abortion, and it is anti-Christ. When I said that, you can see CNN and all of them were trying to get the camera over on the, they were trying to check, who is this soul brother up here talking like this? It's anti-Christ. I don't think we've ever called it that in America publicly. I did it on purpose, to be incendiary, to bring attention to the fact that this health care plan is evil. It's evil. And that our leadership did not address any of those issues. And then I prayed. And I prayed that God would stop those Bolsheviks from taking over our country. Now, two events that I think speak to the necessity for us to be engaged with a targeted, focused emphasis. I think our emphasis needs to be framed through information, education, and activation. Information asks and answers the question, what's going on? We must know what's happening to us. And what's happening to us did not just happen in this administration. It's been coming at us for a long time. We just haven't been paying attention. It has its beginnings in terms of its fleshing itself out with Woodrow Wilson. From Woodrow Wilson to FDR, where he introduced soft tyranny into our culture. And we have become comfortable with soft tyranny. But it's found its greatest rhythm with Lyndon Baines Johnson and the Great Society program, when social engineering was exercised in a draconian way in my community, where they took the government and they moved into our community and said to the family, if there's a man in the house, release him, because I'll become your man and I'll pay for your food, I'll give you housing, and you can have as many babies as you want. I'll give you a check for every baby that you have. Just don't have a man. And they destroyed the African-American family. Destroyed it, literally destroyed it. And what you see today is a dependent class in my community, because that was what the end results of the Great Society has done to the African-American community, has created a dependent class of people who are looking for the government to do for them with their hand out. The Great Society did that. Do I sound like I'm angry? I am. I know what they've done with their social engineering. I know what they've done, and I know what they want to do to you. And so I think we need to have information. Education asks and answers the question, why is this happening? Why is this happening to the greatest nation on earth? The greatest experiment of human relationship and government, the most successful nation on the planet. What is happening here, and why is somebody trying to mess with what has been successful over these many years? It's happening because there are ideologues who are moving to change us. They don't care about the success. They don't care about how great this nation is. This, men and women, is a power grab. Let me say that to you one more time. This is a power grab. Somebody's trying to grab the power and to manipulate us in order to do so. We have not been paying attention. It is time for us to wake up and to become informed, educated, and then activation. Your activation now becomes specific and targeted because you know what's going on. It's not about, what are they doing? I don't know what's going on. If you don't know what's going on, you can't fight right. You can't get in the ring and punch it out. because you don't know why you're in the ring. The very salvation of this republic is at stake, men and women.